one of the nice things about when you're doing your drawing too is that you should yourself actually get up and take breaks too, because when you do, you actually notice things. Like, you basically notice the proportions of the engines. Like when you've been sitting and drawing for 20 minutes, a half hour, and you step away and you come back, you actually get a whole nother look at the engine. And another thing to say is that a good part of, especially when the engine's been all blocked out and gets to this stage, this is actually a very fun part of the drawing, because at this stage, I'm going to do this grill, for instance, right now. At this stage, there literally are, I don't know, 10 or 12 different parts of the engine, and you can pretty much do them all in just about any order that you'd like. There's no real set rule. Like, you want to put that grill in and then maybe put this grill in. It's because, as I've said, it's definitely very important to get the shape of the engine. And then once you do that, now, this grill, this is a early model GP38-2. So this engine has the kind of mesh grill. Later models have just sort of the vertical grills with vertical lines, and then the earlier ones kind of have sort of a mesh screen. Pull back so you can kind of see. You kind of put vertical and horizontal lines. The biggest thing I would say about grills is, which is why I have several videos of practicing different parts of engines, practicing grills, whether it's SD40-2 grills or GP38-2 grills, is that basically the biggest thing I'd say about grills is that you want to have them be as tight as you can. Like, have all the lines be spaced at a very even spacing if you can. And now, might as well put these doors on. Just two. Two. And two. I don't think. There we go. And as I said, always don't be afraid to erase. And then there start to be latches on the doors. There we go. And the one thing to keep in mind, here I'll pull back a little bit. See, on all my drawings, any of the drawings that I do all kinds of erasing. Erasing is the kind of thing where you put a door in, you want to move it, you know, and especially as you're practicing your drawings. It's the kind of thing where basically you just okay. And then we want to put this goes right there. There's the sight glass window. And sight glass windows, -2 engines have those. SD40-2s, GP38-2s. And as we fill in engine room doors, the engine starts to get more of a complete look to it. And from here, it's like you kind of start to then sort of look at it and go, what should I do next? And you're like, well, why don't I work on the cab area? And so here, one of the first steps is to do the step. It's always not a bad idea. So, and again, this is the kind of thing where I could tell you measurements or whatever, but like, this is right at about 3/8 of an inch. But it's the kind of thing where if you look at it, you can kind of, I highly recommend that you sort of just start to get a feel for how tall that step is versus measuring it every time. I mean, I measure it a lot, but over time, it's like, it's the kind of thing where over time, you really want to be able to just kind of get a grasp of how tall is that step compared to how tall is the nose of the engine. Because there are going to be a lot of engines where, you know, you're just going to have to really, the more you develop your eye to seeing that, there are going to be a lot of engines where you're just looking at like a Fairbanks Morse engine or even some Alcos or Baldwins where you, as that happens, the tighter you get your eye of looking at like, okay, that step's that high, you'll be able to draw any engine you want compared to GP38-2s or GP9s where they're much more just a tighter box that just has engine room doors. And that's where you start to really get the feel for like the roundedness of the nose of an F unit and stuff. So developing your eye like on the steps of the engine there compared to the height of the nose, and especially on practice engines like this, you say to yourself, wow, that's actually one of the best places to really grow. And it's about a little less than 1/2 of an inch to where the window goes. And the window is basically about a 1/2 of an inch inside of this area. But again, as I keep encouraging, keep doing your best to get a feel for it. And there's kind of a crimp in the metal of the engine. If you start looking at it, it actually goes all the way across, right where that happens. And then right in front of the back, some engines it's only in the front, some it's in the back. In this case, it's on the both. There are mirrors. And there's the cab, basically, the cab window.